Hello, thank you for another spiritual discussion. This video is part 4 of the Kabbalah experience. If you have not listened to video 1, 2, and 3, I recommend listening to those first before listening here to part 4. The wisdom of Kabbalah deals with the study of the laws of the universe, the structure of the soul, and the management of the world. The Torah tells us only about the way we can obtain the higher spiritual state. It never speaks about history. It is written for each person, and one must only refer to it as personal instructions. In other words, a person who lives in our world must experience all the states of elevation and the 613 degrees to the last degree, which is the equivalence of form with the Creator. Pharaoh, Moses, and their like are an example of spiritual situations that a person must experience inwardly. Notice I said inwardly, not outwardly, but experience inwardly. The Torah speaks of the way each person must rise from the situation it speaks of. We must feel everything that is written there. We have to experience all the events and the characteristics in it, and only after that will we be able to actually sense what the Creator has in store for us. Each of us must be like all the other characters in the Torah within. The various degrees have different names to the negative and the positive situations that a person goes through in each degree. It is not the Kabbalist's job to do things instead of us. A person encounters all sorts of difficulties in life, shortage, disease, and loss, all in order to develop and use them to make contact with the spiritual world. If a Kabbalist cancels the difficulty that one is given, he disrupts that person's evolution towards the upper world. It is not a good idea to do good for a person before you understand what is actually good for him. It is like giving a child everything it asks for without committing him to anything. You simply ruin him that way. The wisdom of Kabbalah is related to no other religion or belief. It does not deal with meditations, prophecies, or questions of religion. Kabbalah teaches how anyone, can obtain the revelation of the system of creation. When man's soul descends from the upper world, it decreases and dresses in the body of this world for a specifically purpose. The soul must go through certain stages of development during its corporeal life. In studying Kabbalah, I came across a statement that is hard for me to believe. Of course, that does not make it untrue, but shows that I need to keep studying myself. But not to hold you back, here's a statement for you to think about. I said think about because we do not know enough to be able to judge it if it's true or not. So the statement I came across is as follows. By studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, you will understand everything, not only what happens on earth, but in the entire universe. It is because that study teaches you about the spiritual roots, which descend and create everything that happens in our world. But this knowledge will be revealed to you only if you use it for spiritual elevation and not to satisfy your curiosity. The faster people go through the upper path, the faster they will understand that Kabbalah is the only true path. Therefore, the more people are exposed to various beliefs and compare them to the wisdom of Kabbalah, the better. Any system that you might learn other than the wisdom of Kabbalah, whether superstition or religion, will forever remain at the level of our world, confined by its limitations. These systems have nothing to do with spirituality, but merely with psychological processes that occur around our bodies. In order to come to the upper world, we must break through the barrier between the two worlds. That implement can be crossed only by the system of Kabbalah. You may be surprised to know there are no meditations in Kabbalah. There are intense and precise focuses of thought that lead the world. Kabbalah offers you a way to live in the spiritual world while living in ours, where you feel, see, and understand the direction of your personal growth and that of the whole of mankind. Then you will see your life, past, present, and future, in a more correct fashion and live more wisely. Kabbalah is a science of an entirely different world, completely detached from our own. There are no common traits, whereas you are trying to find that contact to discover the correlation between those two worlds. There's no open space in this world through which you can enter the spiritual world without having to change your attributes. A Kabbalist has contact with the Creator and is willing to teach any person who really wants contact with the Creator. It is like dialing a telephone number. All you have to know is how to dial. Kabbalah does not disqualify anything because the presence of another culture does not bother one who studies Kabbalah in order to discern the existence of the Creator. There is no connection between parapsychology and Kabbalah. All of man's experiences with the mind do not reach beyond the border of regular psychology. There is still more hidden than is revealed in the human body. You can refer to it as hidden only because it is still hidden from us. But just as science and technology in the 19th century did not succeed in finding out much about the laws and forces of nature, they were hidden from us and then were revealed. So, in the future, science will disclose many more of today's secrets, and they will no longer be hidden. Kabbalah is a science about the upper world, which cannot be revealed by orthodox scientific method or technical instrument, but only by obtaining the attributes of the upper world. As long as we do not acquire attributes and censored which with which to feel the upper world, we would not be able to feel it. Behind all the equivalents and deductions, we remain as we were, with the same five senses. The physical act by itself does not make a difference in the upper world. It is said that an act with no intent is like a body without a soul, and therefore it is regarded as a dead act, denied of the spiritual intent for the Creator. But the aim comes gradually, according to one's progress in the study of Kabbalah. The wisdom of Kabbalah is about intent, about how to turn one's heart to the upper world. It's very easy to open a prayer book and read from it, but it is very difficult to obtain the situation whereby the feelings in one's heart will match the written word, and when the heart will recognize and live by the words as the variable truth. Also, we will discover that our egoism is not us, but a foreign body that has penetrated us and forces us to serve it. Our world is a state where the will to receive enjoys only a very small light called miniature light. And we can enjoy it even when the aim of the desire is for me. We can enjoy that tiny light, although we have not yet acquired a spiritual intent to give to the Creator. And regarding the soul, in order to describe various situations of the soul, we tend to use a name that is adapted to its spiritual level instead of using many technical details. The light that fills the soul is what makes one different from one another. The purpose of the name is to express attributes of the soul that is filled with light. A person can obtain the first spiritual degree only after he has obtained the understanding that death is detachment from the Creator and life is attachment to Him. The rest is in the hands of the spiritual mechanism. But in order to obtain such an understanding, it is necessary to receive help from the Creator. For the soul to feel itself complete in its own right, it must obtain a sensation of appreciation. It can only acquire that out of the sensation of the oppositeness of form and incompleteness. That is the purpose of its being detached from the Creator to a state called this world, where the creature feels corporeal animate pleasure, our current situation, instead of feeling the Creator. The more the creature becomes aware of its incomplete situation, the more it becomes aware of the perfection that is the Creator. It begins to realize that perfection is adhesion with the Creator, equivalence with His attributes, and being filled with Him. As a person comes to understand himself and the Creator, he begins to feel the completeness as though he is returning to it. The sensation of fulfilling in these situations is called pleasure. The only way to take pleasure is to enjoy not the pleasure itself, but the contact with the giver of the pleasure. If the pleasure of the giver is what you get from him, then your pleasure will not disappear and will not diminish your desire for pleasure. The pleasure that we derive from feeling the one who gives it is infinitely greater than the pleasure we receive when taken for ourselves. You may wonder, what is the system of reward and punishment in Kabbalah? There's no punishment in spirituality, only correction, which brings us to the attainment of perfection. The reward depends on the degree of each person's soul. One must reach a state where the reward will be in doing something for the Creator. Then the effort to add to the intent for the Creator is considered work that merits a reward. However, the work itself is actually the reward. It calls the will to receive and the effort. The reward becomes one. Time and pain vanish to be replaced with a sensation of total completeness. There are two types of pleasure. One, the light of wisdom, felt and the desire for pleasure. And two, the light of mercy, felt and the desire to delight. Both types can be received either with the intent for me or with the intent for the Creator. There are four actions that can be performed depending on the measurement of the correction. 1, receive pleasure for myself. 2, give pleasure or delight for myself. 3, give pleasure, delight for the Creator. And 4, receive pleasure for the Creator. I would bring this video to a close, but we'll pick up with part 5, which will be the last part of this series of the Kabbalah experience. But in ending this video, please feel free to share it with others. And if you would like to see more of this type of content, please click the subscribe button below on this channel. Also, after subscribing, if you click the notification bell, you will be notified of any new videos that I make. I would also love to have your comments and questions below. Just be respectful to one another. And again, I say thank you.